All right. So after school hours, I get to wear my baseball cap. I'm trying to remember where I left off because things kind of got a little choppy there near the end. But I'm thinking I was just showing you how to turn on these hidden lines. And so just to recap, let me hop over to this isometric view and select show hidden lines here. All right, and that actually gives you a really good idea of what exactly hidden lines do and their intentions. And if you're using this software, you're probably already familiar with what hidden lines mean and probably a level of printmaking. But if not, again, it's a basic, like you've got X-ray vision, you can see the edges through the part. All right. Trying to decide which direction we're just going to do this drawing. We're not going to do a drawing of the pin as well. You're more than welcome to take that challenge on your own. I'm not going to do a video of it because this video should give you the basics to know how to do that if you want to. And shoot, we're at a little over 20 minutes on this one assignment, and I like to keep things fresh. So basically, we're going to go through and dimension this part now. Dimensioning is a skill as far as you don't include too little information, you don't include too much information. So this is something that that can be challenging for some, and it takes a level of practice. I've seen everything from kids will get a print and they'll think, oh, I don't know how big this is, not realizing all they got to do is subtract one dimension from the other. And I've seen everything where students will get a hold of this and they will throw dimensions all over that print. And I always remind my students as frequently as I can without just beating a dead horse that it's similar to the way you want to communicate through written language. I mean, this is visual language. This is a language. This is a communication tool. When you are writing, you don't want to be too repetitive. However, at the same time, you want to clearly and concisely communicate your point, especially with like a level of technical writing or things like that. So that's just a little sneak peek of my writing rants, I guess, and communication rants. Let's go ahead and dimension this print together. And basically, I'm just going to go through and kind of throw the dimensions I would throw on there. I want to hopefully get all of them, but I could start by saying that this is 0.5 and that this edge here is 1. All right, now that by default means we know what this is. I'm going to take 1, subtract 0.5, we're fine. I'm going to go ahead and go over here. We know that this is 1.2, and then I'm going to go ahead and just dimension that 0.5. This is how we started our print, remember, or model. Remember when all the way back when we first started this, and I said these two lines we don't have, they turned black without a dimension, and I showed you if you were to dimension it, Onshape wasn't going to like that. Well, that's because you've defined the parameters are already there. There's not including this dimension and this dimension would be excessive information. That's not necessary. So it's just a little flashback to right where we started. All right, now this gives me everything in my top view except for the diameter of this circle. So we're going to go and dimension that. This is a no-no by most industry standards. You might find a workplace who would be okay with something like this, and you do see it frequently. But typically, it's frowned upon to leave dimensions inside a part. It can lead to confusion. If I had all these dimensions inside of a part, then I could, it's easier to misread or misunderstand a dimension line. So build the habit of dragging that dimension outside of the part. Now, I do know different industries have different standards. So like architecture does it a lot differently than maybe a mechanical drafting. And I'm no expert on drafting standards. I would encourage those that are maybe in their own industries to share some of the drafting rules they have to follow or add in. And if I do post this on YouTube, which my kids are pushing me a little bit, we'll see. If I get that, if I feel that comfortable with it, but add in the comments or whatnot, kind of different rules and standards. I know there's books on it. I know there's thick books on like GD&T is a common example. All right, I know how big that hole is. I dragged that dimension outside the part. I've got these dimensions here. You can adjust these dimensions. Let's go back and talk a little bit more about neatness and organization. So you can move this. If you dimension a line and you don't like where it ended up, this 0.5 here, you can click these dots. And you have to turn there and then drag it around, and you can do all sorts of things. And I apologize, I'm experiencing some sort of lag. Okay, and I can kind of do that. I can do it this way. You don't want it right close to the edge. You want to come by, you know, I was taught as a general rule of like 3 letter heights, or like the height of 0.5, envision that right, you know, 1.5, 2.5s, 3.5s. Okay, 3 like letter heights away is about how close you want to be. All right, we've got those dimensions there. I know everything that I would need to know to make a template for this part. I still don't know the depth, so I will want to know the height. So I'm going to go ahead and give us the height. There's the 1.0. All right, let's see. Okay, location of the hole. Right now, I don't know where I got to drill that hole. And I'll use that zoom feature. Don't be afraid to use that if you find yourself squinting. So I know that things are going to get a little bit crowded here, so I'm going to keep this here. All right, and then let's see. So I know that it's 0.25 from the bottom, but how far is it from this edge? It's also going to be 0.25. So I'm going to drag that here. I'm going to center this 0.25 to make it easier to read. Now I'm contradicting one of the rules I just talked about, the triple 0.5 rule. So what I'm going to do is just drag this 1.2 over, drag this 0.25 over, drag this 1 over, and drag this 0.25 over. The other habit you want to build when you're dimensioning these prints is keep your smaller dimensions inside of your bigger dimensions. Don't drag these small dimensions out past your big dimensions. You want to work your way down as you get closer to the part. So drag this guy. Again, that red circle is not part of the Onshape. There we go. And then same with this one. I don't want to get too close to my other drawing. Awesome. All right. So now I know that. Okay, what if I want to add a center mark to that hole, which is advised? You just click center mark here, and you click that hole, and it made a small center mark there. So now I just hit undo. See how that disappeared? Because it was just so discreet, I wasn't sure if you would really notice it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit redo so you understand what a center mark is. All right, I think there's ways to adjust that size. Again, I don't want to get into it. I'm ready to start a new fresh assignment. Is that all the dimensions I need? You guys ask yourself that. Look through it. See if there's anything that's missing. I got a little cheat sheet here, but it's just a quick one. And it doesn't even have all the dimensions on it. Now that I look at it, it doesn't tell you how deep it is. Anyways, quick overview. If you want to do the pin, I encourage you. It's a good challenge. Play with it. Again, frustration will block neuron pathways. What I mean by that is if you're clicking this and you're experiencing lags and you get impatient, you click some more, those frustrations, they're going to cripple your brain power a little bit. So relax knowing that this is a software that, one, mistakes are allowable. 2, you're not into this financially, so you don't have to worry too much about lost time or the lost investment by not figuring it out. Just relax and play around with it. Mess it up quite a few times. But we are done with this assignment, this 3-fer. And I got 7 seconds left. I don't know if I have a fun fact about me off the top of my head, but I'm just going to sign out. See ya.